had a few people reaching out with questions on how to deep clean your makeup brushes. It's definitely a regular part of being a makeup artist. I've definitely tried a lot of different products and techniques, but this is my tried and true. So let's go ahead and get started. Here's what you'll need for cleaning your makeup brushes. First, you need dirty makeup brushes, a roll of paper towels, Cinema Secrets brush cleaner. I have the spray, and then I also have the regular one as well. I like the spray for my fluffy brushes, and then I like using this one for my flat brushes. Last, you'll need a metal tin. Pretty much anything that's non-porous. The metal is easier to clean. Usually Cinema Secrets comes with a metal tin. I moved because it was a little too bright over there. Starting out with just one little piece of paper towel. I like to work from my smaller brushes to my biggest brushes. It's easier to clean the small brushes and you waste less product. If you were to use a big fluffy brush after I just poured all of this liquid in here, the fluffy brush would probably absorb all of it. That's why we want to start with the smaller brush first. I didn't put much in here just so we can add as we go. The stuff is pretty expensive, so I don't want to pour too much in there. Here's an example of some smaller brushes we'll start with. I'll dip the brush in, just lightly tap, and then I'll wipe off any excess liquid on the edges of the tin. Then I'll take a corner and rub and work it back and forth until it runs clear. When the brush runs clear, that's when you know you have a clean brush. See, I'm wiping and color isn't really coming off now. So pretty much done with this brush. When we're laying the brush to dry, I like to use a counter and I'll just set the brush on the counter so the edge here can get some airflow. Moving on to the next small brush, dipping the tiniest bit, wiping off the excess liquid on the sides of the cap, wiping it. You can be aggressive with your brushes. They're meant to withstand. Really work the brush cleaner into the brushes. Moving on to a slightly bigger brush. This is a concealer brush. We'll just take the tip, bring it into the pan, wipe off the edges, and then work the color back and forth. Sometimes I like to fold it so I can really get in there. I have a lot of pigment on this brush, so I'm probably gonna need to go in again. Dip, tap off the sides, rubbing back and forth. I use one more. There you go. Now you can see it's running clear, and we'll let this brush hang out with the other brushes. So again, we're working on our smaller brushes first before moving into bigger brushes so that we can really maximize the liquid in the pan. Moving on to a bigger brush. This is probably the biggest flat brush that I have for cleaning. We'll dip this into the metal tin and really press and rub back and forth. This brush is one of my favorite foundation brushes. I feel like I can get maximum coverage. You can see how nice and clean that is. If it's my personal brushes that I'm using on myself, it doesn't have to be perfectly clean, just enough to get that surface level bacteria off. This is definitely the best brush cleaner I've ever used. It doesn't leave a residue on your brushes. Some brush cleaners can leave a soapy consistency that will leave your brushes feeling different than when you first bought them. Usually, if I'm running out of real estate, I'll switch it inside out. Look at how much comes off just on that first pass through. I remember when I first started doing makeup, I was a lot more gentle. But when you're cleaning them, you really want to get in there. I try to find whatever little ledges of white are still on here. Just want to make sure that I'm not wasting a bunch of paper towels. This is also a quick drying brush cleaner, so you'll find that even after 5 to 10 minutes, your brushes will be ready to go again. A lot of brush cleaners require you leaving your brushes overnight, but these are pretty much good to go. We'll move on to the fluffy brushes. I prefer using the spray because a lot of times you're using powders with these. It doesn't need to be deeply soaked the way that you dip into this. You waste less product with the spray. We're just gonna mist the brushes and then again just rubbing it around. It's a lot easier to clean fluffy brushes using the spray. You can get around all the surface area. When you dip in here, you don't get all of the surface area. This brush, you could go either way. You could dip it in or you could spray. When spraying, I try to spray up here, not down into the barrel. This can help maintain the integrity of your brushes and keep them healthy long term. So if you maintain your brushes, you can have these for a lifetime, depending on the quality of the brush. This is Bellium is the brand. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but a lot of makeup artists use this brand, and it's pretty reasonably priced too. This is one of my all-time favorite blush brushes. It does have white hair on the top. It's really hard to get the pink fully out of a white-haired brush. You can spray really close to the brush, or you can do a little further away. If you're really trying to focus on cleaning a particular area of the brush, you can get very close and target an area of the brush that's not getting cleaned. As you can see, this brush will never fully go back to its white-haired self. As you can see, it's running clear, but you can still see that pink. Here are the brushes laid out. I find that my hardest brush to clean is this one right here. I use this one daily. This one always requires a deep clean. It takes me quite a few times to get this brush running clear. I want to concentrate my brush cleaner in this area because that's the area that's my problem area. Has more pigment, so I sprayed the nozzle pretty close. So this is one of those brushes that you could use both the 10 and the spray. I'll even take the paper towel and rub it in between the bristles just to really do more of a deeper clean within. This one is always the one that takes the longest. I save this one for last. I'll keep working on this one for a little while. This is one of my favorite foundation brushes on myself. I don't really use this on clients. I don't know why. I don't have any reasoning for that. This concludes my brush cleaning tutorial. Hopefully you learned something new, and I'll see you in my next video.